We met in medical school. We hit it off pretty good.
I came home in 1989, and we got married
91.
in March 91.
He moved in and didn't move out.
Yeah, we literally haven't been apart since.
Yeah. Most of our jobs have been we've worked together.
We ran a business. We were private investigators. We did a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Even security work. We did a lot of security work for different people and different organizations.
We did a lot of surveillance.
Yeah.
And sometimes we would be together and sometimes we would be in separate cars.
You can't work on a crossword puzzle or
Can't take a nap.
play games on your phone or anything like that. You just have to look at the house or look at the vehicle, because think about how long it takes you to walk from your front door to your car. Did a lot of summonses and subpoenas, and a lot of times people knew that it was coming and they didn't want to receive them.
And you were really creative.
Yeah, sometimes I would be. If somebody had a birthday, I would show up at their door with some helium balloons and a bag and knock on the door, and they would open the door, and I would serve them their papers. Or I would go to stop at the grocery store and just get a vase of flowers, and I would just go. I had a brown hat and I had a brown jacket on, and I would just go knock on the door and just smile, and they would open the door. I would serve them the papers, and I would keep the flowers.
Yeah, he wouldn't even give it to him.
I would bring them back to Bonnie.
I had no idea what he was doing. And then I found out, kind of made me mad. He wasn't doing it for me.
I can tell you a lot of stories. A lot of stories. We were in the process of expanding. Our reputation out there was exemplary, and I was getting new clients all the time. Even the SEC I'd done some work for. And there were some private business investors around that were asking me some questions. So the sky was the limit. We were on the cusp of the next level of our business. It was fixing to explode. We were going to do some fantastic things.
Well, James is our middle child, and he was really kind of unique, between the boys.
And he was the one that was going to take care of us in our dotage.
Yeah.
So everything was just a joy.
And he was always happy,
And then it's always hungry,
Yeah, he was always hungry.
He would say hi to us, say hi to his mom.
Hi, Mom.
And then
First thing, go to the refrigerator.
Go to the refrigerator and look to see what was in there. Which we always had food. That was fun.
Yeah, and he would always get something out. It didn't matter what it was. He'd sit out and eat.
But he was always busy doing something. He wasn't an idle person, sitting around playing games or just lazing around in bed or anything like that. He was always he's out just with people all the time.
But between the children, it's like one is like, okay, I love you, Mom, but don't touch me, don't kiss me, I'm embarrassed. And James would come and sit on my lap and, hi, Mommy, and he's 20-something years old, doing this stuff, and he didn't care. He wanted to hug us, he loved us, and that's just how he was. He was just outgoing, and he would talk about anything and everything with us all the time. It didn't matter what it was. Yeah. It was always fun. He lit up the room when he come in the room. He just lit up.
We were well on our way to the next phase of our life and of our careers, and then we got the call that we lost our son, and everything just stopped. Yeah. So that's it. Everything just stopped.
I had missed the phone call, and it was a voicemail. And I picked up the phone and I called the guy in the police station. I thought, oh, great, he's arrested for
something.
Got drunk or something. I just oh, great. I was really annoyed. And he told me, he's like, well, your son's dead. And first I thought was, this is a horrible thing for you to be saying. Who are you? Whatever. And then he said, well, it wasn't any fault of his own.
First,
it was homicide.
It was homicide. the sheer disbelief
Yeah.
that something like this actually happened, and that our
Because
son,
we kept getting phone calls, and we just
yeah.
couldn't do it. We couldn't take it.
and
We
that
couldn't.
we had lost our son, and just everything just stopped.
Him and a friend went down south.
Down south he told us that going down just to have some fun with some friends
For the weekend.
For the weekend, everything was fine. I mean, we found out later they was going to the berry patch, and they would go down there and they would pick berries. And apparently this girl that he met down there was an ex-girlfriend of Daniel Thompson. And we know now that Daniel Thompson is a predator or a stalker
Of many women.
And it just happened to be that this was one of his ex-girlfriends. This guy has years and years of criminal history of stalking. He's been in prison, domestic violence. He's been in prison for it before, and drugs and all these things. And
she had protection order against him.
She had a protection order against him as well. So he was, as far as she was concerned, out of the picture. Well, they were together, and of course Thompson took exception to that, and there were a couple altercations.
Earlier that day, when James had met the girl, he was stalking that woman, and somebody called the police on him because he had a knife. It was broad daylight, and the police came, and he had thrown the knife, and they said it was like 10 feet away from him, but they didn't charge him. And then later that day was 2 altercations with our son.
And one of the altercations, the police were called, and they picked him up. And of course, they were scared to death. They didn't know what was going on. They were frightened. And the police department told them that, hey, don't worry, he's in jail now. He's going to be jail all night. You guys can relax and just go have your fun. They were supposed to keep him overnight, and it was just a matter of hours before they let him out. James and his, girlfriend that he met down there were already down at the berry patch. So it's after dark now. We have a convicted stalker. He has the murder weapon on his body, on his person. He's walking down the road towards the berry patch. One of the off-duty female police officers or employees there at the police station sees him on the road, stops, and gives him a ride to the berry patch. The police department basically gave him a ride to the murder scene.
Yeah.
One of the things that helped us get an airtight conviction was that he was slashing tires. What he did with his knife, his hand slipped down the knife. These kitchen knives and butcher knives don't have a shield or block on it, anything like that. And he cut himself on there. So he got some DNA on the knife.
And on the car as well.
And on the car as well, because he put his hand on the hood of a truck. The police department, they botched that up too, because they left it outside and let it get rained on or something like that.
It washed the blood away.
This guy is actually an expert at breaking in, entering without being heard or seen. So he gains access to the house. He basically just stabs my son in the chest with the knife. And
while he was sleeping.
While he was sleeping.
They were all sleeping.
They were all sleeping. Stabs him in the chest, and then flees. And James, whenever he woke up, apparently he grabbed the knife and flung it out of his chest, and it hit the wall and went behind a TV stand or something. So the police, when they got there and everything, they couldn't find it. It was later on the next day.
I don't think they looked.
I don't think they looked.
I don't think they looked at all.
Somebody come there to the house to help clean up, and she actually found it. And then they got the murder weapon, and thankfully they didn't contaminate it any further than it might have already been.
Yeah.
And that was the damning piece of evidence that got him convicted.
Well, when we first found out that James was murdered, the overwhelming grief, but I wanted to know who killed my son. And I was just obsessed about that. I wanted to know
we're already investigators at the time, you know, so we just wanted to find something out, anything out.
I feel like my grief fueled that, you know. I was up at night, so I'd do it at nighttime because I couldn't sleep. You know, it's just, it just runs in your head all the time. It's like, why and the what ifs and all those things. And so I just started digging, and first I got into newspapers, and I found an article, and then I got on CaseNet, and I just saw so many cases with Daniel Thompson's name, his date of birth and everything, and all his offenses.
Page after page after date after date after thing on this guy. And, you know, it just really painted an obvious picture that this is a dangerous person.
Repeatedly, the same thing, over and over, stalking, aggressive.
Yeah. We have a printer, we have the ink, we have the paper, and we have the time. So we just start digging for information, and when we get something, we print it off, and we just keep going and keep going and keep going before you know it. You know, you have a book, you have a 4-inch folder with all this stuff, but it's all here.
Since 2000, there's burglary, first degree, which that was another thing. He would steal a knife from whoever he was assaulting. That was a pattern of him. He always had a steak knife or a kitchen knife, and that was something that he would always use.
And, you know, just think about it. Every kitchen, even in our kitchen, we got a little stand with our steak knives and little butcher knives and stuff in there. So, you know, with him breaking into houses all the time, you know, he always had a murder weapon with him.
He was in the military before they had a relationship, and he was dishonorably discharged, and it had something to do with threatening somebody with a knife. Remember Angie talking about the first time that they were dating? He would actually break into the house. She was like 16 or so, go through the doggy door and stand over her. And then later on, as they had a relationship, he would choke her and had a knife against her. You know, it was just time and time again. The last incident that he was involved in was basically the same thing. He broke into this woman's house that he had been dating and hid behind the door with a knife and attacked her. And they struggled and everything, and somehow or another she got the knife away from him and stabbed him.
We're finding all this information out, and they can't keep him in jail overnight.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a judge wouldn't sign off to keep him in jail or something like that, whatever.
But at the time, we didn't know that.
We didn't know any of that.
No, we didn't know
any of that.
We found everything out the hard way. By digging ourselves, everything.
Yeah. You know, some people say, you can't carry hate in your heart for so long or anything like that. It's not good for you. You know, he is unremorseful about anything that he's done, and he knows how to talk his way out of whatever he needs to be talked his way out of, you know, because he's a sociopath. He just knows how to work the system. You know, his excuse was, oh, I'm sorry, I meant to murder her, I didn't mean to murder him. He is unremorseful. And no, do not forgive him, and at all. And you know, prison is just where he needs to be and stay for the rest of his miserable life. This person, who has been a career criminal, repeatedly terrorizes men and women especially. Mm-hmm. He even brags about, I have been arrested for 15 felonies and have only served time for a handful of them or something like that. And they can't get a judge to sign off on something to keep him overnight. He was treated with kid gloves. He was let out only hours after being caught. I know 100 attorneys, you know, I know all these people, and I would ask people, some powerful people, what I can do, and basically I just got polite nods.
Yeah.
That because of qualified immunity, mm-hmm. you know, nobody wanted to touch anything.
Qualified immunity protects the state and local officials, including law enforcement officers, from individual liability unless the official violated a clear established constitutional right.
You know, so basically this qualified immunity, all it is to me is a license for these people just to make mistakes without any repercussions. Plain and simple. I understand that they need something to protect them from frivolous lawsuits and all this stuff, but they're hiding behind this one to mask all of their mistakes. We've talked to politicians, city leaders, we've talked to many people about this. I just wish there was somebody out there on the planet that would help us hold these people accountable, and that's what I want to do. There needs to be laws out there that protect us.
It's a grief that I don't think anybody can explain, but it's like you just opened up your chest and ripped your heart out.
Yeah.
And somehow you're still breathing, but it hurts that bad.
Yeah. That level of grief just, like I said, everything just stops.
Our world stopped.
It's so devastating, just mentally and physically. Just the how can it be?
The disbelief.
Why I wasn't there to protect him. I just imagine that he was thinking, where's dad or where's mom?
Yeah. You go to the grocery store and the cashier goes, well, how's your day? And I want to say, well, my son got murdered last night, but you can't say it because it's like you're putting them on a spot, but you're hurting so much you want everybody to know.
So just a lot of, I'm doing fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Just plain nods and just,
politeness, we stayed at home a lot.
Yeah,
we didn't go do events
And we made a promise right there at the very beginning that no matter what, we weren't apart. Mm-hmm. I mean, we still grieved in our own way. Oh. She grieved in her way, I grieved in my way, but we did it together. My way was, I still need to make money somehow. We basically lived off of savings for a while.
We couldn't work.
Yeah.
Our business just, it was gone.
I just wasn't ready to go and start knocking on doors and asking, for a job from somebody. Yeah. Hell, I didn't even know how to. I've been my own boss for so many years. I wound up just taking menial, dead-end jobs. It was not fulfilling in any stretch of the imagination, but
there was no thinking.
Yeah, there was no thinking involved, and my interactions with people were brief. I didn't grieve out where everybody can see me or family or anything like that. It was very personal. It was all very private, and it was just very deep, very raw, very emotional, just grief.
As a woman, we want to talk about it. We want to get it off our chest and explore why and all these kind of things. And I couldn't talk to him about it. So then I turned to the boys, and they were like, literally, I felt like I was pushing and they were going to run away, quite literally, because they didn't want to talk about it. And they really haven't to this day, and it's been 13 years. Yeah. But to help grief, talking about it, that's why I do what I do with my page.
She started a page, for other people to reach out.
Because I didn't have, to reach out to somebody. I started a Facebook page.
And that's just the thing, She never said, well, you're not doing enough, and I've never said anything, you're doing too much. Mm-hmm. The secret sauce to us was just letting each other grieve or cope with it in their own way.
But to be there for each other.
Yeah, we were there for each other no matter what. There were no boundaries, no rules, no nothing. We were just always just here for each other, and it was unconditional. Yeah. It's just time. Because you literally do feel like, you're in that cage, that little spot, and there's no escape, and all this grief and all this sorrow and pain and anger and anguish and everything just right there, it just caving in on you. In those moments, there's no possibility of reprieve. You're just there, you're just sunk.
And I tell new victims that they feel that grief, and I know how they feel, and they're like, they don't want to live anymore. We didn't want to live anymore. And it's like, I understand how you feel.
You just got to get through, you know, you just got to understand it.
Just get up and breathe. If you can get up and breathe,
Yeah.
that's a start. You know, if you can take a shower, that's something. If you can go back to bed once you got up, at least you're moving. I said you have to. You
just got to do something else.
Yeah.
That little claustrophobic ball of pain and anguish and grief and everything's always going to be there.
Yeah.
It's not to escape that grief. Just do something else to help you move on to the next hour.
It's in the moment.
And the next day.
Do something in their memory. There's the Adopt a Highway. 2 years ago, I wanted a memorial pin. I wanted something that was handmade, very personal, and I had this commissioned.
These are the colors in the pen.
The red and black.
The red and black for homicide
It's a twisted ribbon,
victims.
so, yeah. I have them for sale on my website, but it's for awareness. I give a lot of them away.
Yeah,
One of the other things that we would go do that kind of helped us.
We would go to parks and walk around, walk the trails.
Powell Gardens, beautiful. Yeah.
We were inspired by Powell Gardens and the different patterns and things that they would do, so we would try that. Mm-hmm. And
our gardens have evolved from really simple, basic stuff to.
This is about 2 years in the making, right here. All these uprights are just common landscape timbers. And this is like a $25 tarp that we got online. She dries all of her herbs. We make all of our rubs for meats and all of our spices for vegetables, everything. We make it all from scratch.
Yeah, we do.
And we've always gardened or had some sort of a garden. Our garden now just kind of blossomed out of all that, out of all this focus and this redirection of energy.
Get this one. It's ready.
And also, as soon as you see a tomato getting a little bit of color on it, it's okay to pull it.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and they don't have to ripen on the vine. As soon as you see some color, they're okay to pick. You can let them ripen on your windowsill. And then Bonnie goes out there and just sits and just tends to it and just for hours on end. It's kind of like a little mini escape for her to do. Yeah.
I mean, you know, the neighbor's over here with his dog and these people over here mowing and stuff, but it's like in my little world right there. I don't hear any of that. It helps me ground. This one needs to go.
That's a little too ripe, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go.
Put that one over there. We'll compost him. I still get anxiety. Anything can set the anxiety off, and it's like I have to get up, and you get that fight or flight. And so I'll go out to the garden and sit, and it's like, okay, I can breathe now.
And then, oh, here's one down low. That's going to be
good.
nice. We'll have that one for lunch.
Yeah. And then there's a little one here.
As everything was happening, all the depression and everything.
Just to breathe was an effort.
Yeah.
Was a struggle. And
so I started cooking the meals after that, and that was kind of like a little mini escape for me anyway.
I just couldn't. It was days after and sitting in the kitchen in a chair, and I'm like, I can't cook, you know, because people would bring food like the first week or second week or whatever.
Yeah.
We're running out of the food. I'm like, I can't cook. He's like, I'll do it, and he gets up. You know, I think he made grilled cheese or something.
Something, just
it was something,
simple,
you know. And it was like, okay, you know, that's one worry I don't have to worry about.
I just kind of stepped in and just kind of took over some of the things that, you know, just needed to be done.
It was one of the daily things I couldn't do. I couldn't clean house for a long time either.
Right.
Actually.
It was kind of, I never picked that up.
No.
I never picked it up.
I know.
But it was kind of it was just something different to do. And it just occupied my mind.
Because he didn't cook.
Yeah.
I did the cooking.
And it was just as simple as that. I can still see my family's faces, you know, because I would overcook. I would cook all this stuff. Hey, look, I cooked it. And everybody would just like, they were polite, oh, thank you, you know. But you know that they were like, you know, why'd you bring me all this food? You know, but I would I'll see something on YouTube or something like that. and I'll kind of obsess over it, and so I got to try it, so I'll go try it. Every once in a while, I do okay. Even making hamburgers, you know, I would just have an idea or see an idea on TV.
Yeah, and you'd add to it. When you started getting into cooking, then it was like, okay, first I felt guilty. I was like, I should be doing this.
Bonnie started cooking more again, and then, you know.
It was actually your idea to start the Facebook page, just for the food of it.
Did I come up with the name?
You did.
Yeah, I
you
think I
came
did.
up with the name. It was kind of your idea. So we started cooking, and he's like, well, take these pictures and do this, and blah, blah, blah. And so he was telling me what to do, and then he just kind of dropped off of it, you know, and I just kind of kept it going. And it kind of evolved. Taught our kids how to cook, of course. And then nieces and nephews were around at the time, and they didn't know anything about cooking or gardening or anything.
Yeah, it's just basic.
And
basic
we
cooking.
would just show them, and,
Yeah.
and they thought, oh well, this is really cool. You know, how do you measure a cup? What's a cup? You know.
We have dinner parties that we throw every
yeah,
month.
yeah.
We
For
call
the-
it Dinner with Friends.
Yeah.
And it is a pleasant little distraction and a way to get us out and out of the house.
Our youngest son was in the Renaissance Festival. I think he was 15 at the time, and it was like a week or two before Fair opened, and all of this happened. That was his outlet to let me go. I want to go there, and I want to just forget about everything.
There was absolutely no way that we were going to turn our 14, 15-year-old kid alone out around all these weirdos,
Yeah.
basically. And so we shadowed him. Now we're one of the weirdos, you know.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
are some of our best friends
Yeah,
and
best
some of our
friends, yeah.
just best memories that we have out there.
That was kind of a saving grace because I felt like they were a family. All the cast members and even the vendors and things like that knew us. You know, we'd been out there several years already. You know, everybody would come up, you know, how you doing? Do you need some water? Why don't you go over and sit in some shade? And there's a private area over here. You know, we were just looked after. That was the only place we felt like that we could smile and not feel guilty about it. We both smiled and we just kind of looked at each other. It was like, is it okay?
Yeah,
You know?
it didn't feel right to be happy now.
Yeah,
you know, kind of
it
thing.
didn't feel right.
So that took a long time.
It did.
to come over.
That did take a long time.
Yeah.
The friends that we made out at Fair are still our friends 11 years later.
Yeah. We would garden and share the cooking and do all that stuff
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
But I still needed a little something extra for myself, and I was always handy. This is my shop, my area. I just like to come out here. It's just my little mini sanctuary. I don't always get to come out here. There might be months that I don't even step foot out here just because of work and just taking care of the family. But when I do, I like to come out and I make things. It didn't matter if it was out of wood or metal
Yeah,
or
anything.
clay, anything. I would get a lot of inspiration from makers on YouTube, and I go out and just try things. This here is a water cooler surround that I'm making out of just reclaimed pallet wood. And I made 2 or 3 for family members and friends, and everybody seemed to love them. And this here is actually for a gentleman that's going to pay me for it. And that actually dried up for the longest time. And my shop space has just got cluttery and dusty and cobwebby, you know, and it's just a lot of unused material and tools out there. And it's not till, you know, pretty recently that flame is kind of reignited, and you know, I found a little bit more space to breathe and freedom to actually focus on something like that anymore, you know, again, which was always a happy distraction, and it still is, and it's something that I just love doing. These here are little catapults and trebuchets. We used to make toys for the Kansas City Renaissance, and the kids just loved these things. We had little bean bags and stuff we put in here.
Your life changes forever.
Yeah,
You're,
forever.
it's a new normal.
And what helps me is because I know that he wants his mother to still
happy.
enjoy life and be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
I know he wants his daddy to be happy.
Yes, yes, and that's something else I tell them. I said, do that for them. Stay alive for them.
Yeah.
Tell their story.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I would feel.
That's how I
That would be my sentiment to my
Yeah,
children.
I tell
You know, you have a life, live it, be happy,
Yeah, be
enjoy it,
happy.
stuff like that.
And he would. He absolutely would.
You know, so that helps. That helps you cope.
Yeah.